World Affairs Report, 30 minutes of conversation designed to make you better aware of the world around you. The World Affairs Report is brought to you by the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh in cooperation with KQV News Radio. The World Affairs Council is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that has been bringing the world to Pittsburgh for over 80 years. To learn more about the Council and upcoming events, please visit worldpittsburgh.org. And now, the World Affairs Report.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us again. I'm your host, Angelica Ocampo, and today we have two guests who are doing amazing work here in Pittsburgh for the world. We're talking to Nathan Darity and Ala Mohammed. Thank you both for being here. Full disclosure, they're also my friends, so it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So, Nathan is a graduate from the University of Pittsburgh's Public Health School and started his work with Amisaji in the Global Service Learning in 2009. He was site director in Brazil for a few years before he actually came back to Pittsburgh as a project director, and in 2014 helped launch the Global Switchboard as a project of Amisaji at the time, and in 2016 accepted the role of executive director at the Switchboard, and we'll hear more about what the Switchboard's mission is. But thank you again, Nathan, for being here.
Sure.
And Ala received her Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Philosophy in Global Studies from the University of Pittsburgh. After graduation, she joined Pulse, which is a wonderful organization. We also do work with them. It's Pittsburgh's Urban Leadership Service Experience. It's an organization that has fellows who work in different organizations for a year. So Ala was a Pulse fellow at the Global Switchboard, and after your term, you were asked to join and to stay with the Switchboard, which is great.
Yeah, I was very excited.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And again, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
So, Nathan, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us more about what the mission of the Global Switchboard is?
Sure. So the Global Switchboard is interested in fostering effective global engagement through inclusive dialogue, and we also have three sort of ways that we three kind of categories in which we foster effective global engagement. So we have a co-working space. We have a soon-to-be-launched digital hub, which you can think of as the digital neighborhood for physical space. And then a third element, which is our network. This is a growing group of individuals and organizations that we will convene and activate to work around key issues in the global engagement sphere.
And so you were started as a project of Amisaji, the Global Switchboard was. And we just had Amisaji, the executive director, with us. So our audience is fully aware about Amisaji. But tell us about the evolution from being a project within an organization to being your own organization.
Shout out to Brandon and Amisaji, absolutely. So you already mentioned that I was spending some time living abroad, working in Brazil with Amisaji for a lot of years, leading up to the launch of the Global Switchboard. As my time was winding down as a site director abroad, Brandon and I, executive director of Amisaji, spent a lot of time thinking about some of the challenges that globally facing organizations have in the city of Pittsburgh. One of them is the challenge to effectively collaborate, to seamlessly run into and work alongside of other people that have like-minded concerns and to work together on creating solutions. Another challenge that motivated the launch of the Global Switchboard was a visibility challenge. We think that it's really important to make the case for what difference being globally engaged can mean for our region, and to make that case we need some visibility for how we work with students, how we support immigrant and refugee inclusion. The sort of the wide world of global engagement is fundamentally tied in our minds to this region flourishing. And so how do we both create possibilities for collaboration and for visibility? These were like the drivers. Amisaji was located downtown, in a building downtown. That was fine. It was working out okay. But there were some thoughts as we were watching the shared economy grow in Pittsburgh and around the world about, wow, I wonder if co-locating could help us address some of these issues that we've been wrestling with. It was an experiment. It was a thought experiment, which once we started to solicit feedback from friends and peers and other organizations, people said, yeah, we'd come on, we'd join that. So in 2014, we found a building, signed a lease, put out a formal call, and really quickly we filled up, essentially. So
how many organizations are working together there?
Well, currently we have 9 organizations that are based out of the Global Switchboard. And from 2014 to 2016, the Global Switchboard was essentially just this project of being co-located. But the hope was to go one step further than just bringing people together. It was to create the possibility for collective action. How can the sum become more than its parts, was our question. And how can, in building this sort of community of practice, can we take on issues and have a greater impact than any of us could if we were working in isolation? Global Solutions Pittsburgh, also based in downtown Pittsburgh at the time, was our first member. They moved when Amazaji moved, and together we really grew the Global Switchboard. Global Solutions Pittsburgh had been around since the 1940s and has at its heart an interest in fostering world peace through world law. And the sort of genesis of the Switchboard as a project evolved into a conversation between Amazaji and Global Solutions Pittsburgh that said, what if Global Solutions Pittsburgh would take on the role of running the Global Switchboard, and Amazaji would sort of seed away the project over time. That's what happened. And so in 2016, Global Solutions Pittsburgh became the Global Switchboard. We went from being a project then to inheriting that 501c3 nonprofit status. And since 2016, January I've been the director, and we've been able to take on new ventures since then.
So is this your 1-year anniversary?
No, so it's been a year and
a year and
9
some.
months.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And Ala, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience at the Switchboard as a Pulse Fellow? What
Sure.
was the best part of your work there?
I think in many ways I was very lucky in the timing that I came onto the Switchboard. I came on, and I think there was a lot of transitioning taking place. So I came in, and during my interview, I remember Nathan and Laura telling me, "Hey, so we're thinking about doing this like website type thing. Would you be interested in that?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. We're gonna do this like." Maybe advocacy component. Would you be interested in that? And I was like, yeah, everything sounds great. And then I came on, and that's exactly what I started diving into. For a while, it was me learning about the history of the Switchboard and how it came to be, the legacy of Global Solutions Pittsburgh and what Amazaji was, and all these different components. And then it took a while, but then it like clicked together. That what we do as a co-working space is exactly what we're trying to do with our digital hub, our online platform. So it's like just a different virtual version of our work there. So if I can understand the co-working space, I can begin to understand my project that is the digital hub. If I can understand the digital hub and the co-working space, I can then also learn how we're trying to activate our membership around a certain issue topic. So yeah, that's...
So let's talk a little bit more about your digital hub.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you walk us through what's in that hub and what people can find or will be able to find eventually as the product matures?
So I think this is a total tag team response. La has been a real driver of this project for the Global Switchboard. There are a lot of partners that are working on it, but at the end of the day, the slog really falls to allow to push this forward. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how we're conceiving of it conceptually, Ella?
Sure. So like I said, I see the digital hub as kind of like the virtual take on what our co-working space does, which is we are interested in collaboration between entities in Pittsburgh that are committed to better connecting Pittsburgh to the world. So if you have people in the same location, they're going to, just by virtue of being close to one another, they're going and being aware of each other, which is, I think, the key point. They're going to collaborate together, and they're going to increase the visibility for the work that they do in Pittsburgh. But our co-working space, any co-working space, has a limited amount of space, and we can't do justice for all the people and all the organizations, the projects, the people that are actually doing really great work in the city in a physical space. And so I think the digital hub was something that we heard what came as an idea from the community itself, like an interest in having a website, a one-stop shop, if you will, for global engagement in Pittsburgh. And so that's exactly what we're doing. A lot of people mentioned having just being aware. They want to know who's in the space, and we know how limited value like a directory can be. So I think our digital hub is going to be kind of like a directory you can interact with.
So is this for people to understand what are the organizations in Pittsburgh that are engaged with the world, or is it also, are you thinking also of customer that could be somebody that's new to the city and really wants to understand what are the services or the different organizations that can serve them?
Sure. I think the question of audience is something we also have to think a lot about. Our direct audience as the Global Switchboard, our constituents are our fellow global professionals. Those are the people that we can connect to and call on the easiest. So we're building this website for these people, but in order for any of what we do to be useful to our constituents, there has to be also some kind of impact for our network's constituents as well, whether those people are students, whether these people are newcomers to the city, whoever they happen to be. So I think when we were building this website, what we want first and foremost is for like our global professional community to be able to go on this website and say, okay, now I can see who exactly is involved in refugee and immigrant inclusion in the city. I can see who's doing work in global education. I know how to get involved, and I know who I can partner with to maybe work on this one thing that no one else knows about yet. It's also a platform for me to put this thing that no one knows about yet and have it gain visibility. So there's that piece. But then I think we're also trying to, so we're going to have like an opportunities piece where you can have fellowships, internship, job opportunities, like different things that you can list on there that maybe might be attractive to people who are not necessarily just global professionals. Maybe it's a student trying to get involved in the global professional community. We're going to have an events calendar that hopefully also brings in more people than just our direct network.
Cannot wait to have it up.
Yeah.
Honestly,
like
I think the city really needs something like
yeah.
that. And you have a great event coming up very soon, the Hub+Spoke. Would you like to share some of that with us? What the purpose is, when it is it open to the public? Can people attend?
We're so excited about this. Yes, it's open to the public. We expect that everybody who's listening to this shows up.
I don't think they would fit.
Everyone. No. And also,
what kind of prices do you have for people who?
We have a pay what you can approach, actually. So while it is a ticketed event, and I'll go through that, it is truly open to the public. And if folks can afford to pay very little or a lot, we will accept what someone can pay. Also, I must say, as sort of referencing back to the Digital Hub, as I start talking about the Hub+Spoke event, the World Affairs Council is among the organizations that helped us identify the need for this, right? And we spent a long time asking people from across the city what are challenges that exist within how Pittsburgh connects to the world that we could address. And we kept hearing there's got to be an attempt to really create this comprehensive space where people, projects, and organizations can be found and easily navigated. So thanks for helping us and giving us the courage to kind of go forward and start to build this. You guys are also part of this event coming up, Hub+Spoke, World Affairs Council, among 15 partners who responded to a call to help us bring this thing to life. So here's how this event works. October 13th at the Ace Hotel, in the gymnasium. You'll walk in, and we've essentially attempted to take what will be a virtual space, rip it off of the internet, and make it an analog experience. You walk in, you're like disoriented because there are screens, and there's a literal sort of hub center off of which doorways take you into spokes or zones that are themed around key issues, or are these sort of what we think are about as comprehensive demonstration of what exists inside global engagement. So there's a zone dedicated to global education, a zone dedicated to entrepreneurship and innovation. There's a zone for immigrant and refugee inclusion, et cetera, et cetera. These zones, these themes, correspond to how we've conceptually arranged information on the digital hub. And instead of walking into an information fair where you just get to be told, here's the listing of all the organizations that care about these issues, you get to meet the people, and you get to be involved in an interactive experience that organizations have designed to bring their work to life. So the Hub+Spoke event's first moment, it's a 3-moment event, is this interactive thing where you get to meet all kinds of organizations, from the World Affairs Council to Amizaji, which we've mentioned, to university partners. Study abroad offices from across the region have responded, small grassroots organizations, larger institutions.
15 organizations.
Yes.
You say we'll be there in
We'll
that
be there.
part.
We'll be there.
So you can interact with all.
With
15.
all of them, exactly. Right. And we'll have food. We're partnering as well with Conflict Kitchen to provide the food for the event, who are working with families in the Pittsburgh area to curate a meal that will correspond to this global engagement goal. Once you've become bewildered by how many fascinating people are there in the global engagement space doing amazing things, we'll invite you upstairs.
By the way, little plug-in. We will be doing virtual reality, for example. So if people come to our what do you call it?
Your zone.
They'll be able to put a headset and watch something that we won't say here, but go somewhere through virtual reality. So.
Way to foreshadow. Good job. Yeah, it's
yeah,
exciting.
we've been pretty amazed by all the interactive opportunities that people are going to go out. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll invite people then upstairs to the ballroom at the Ace for a short formal presentation where we'll demonstrate. We'll project the digital hub as it will exist at the time, which will be content poor, because this event is about calling people to populate the site with us, right? We want people to submit their information, go on and create profiles for themselves, for the projects they're part of, for the organizations they're part of. So this event is a call to actions, to get people to submit their information, and to compel them. We're going to show them what it's going to look like, right? So we'll do a quick demonstration about what the digital hub will look like, and then turn it over to Aradna Oliphant, who's our keynote for the night, and she'll give a short talk commenting on Pittsburgh's connections to the world and how we're working to improve them, strengthen them. And then we've got you captured, audience, in the ballroom. We'll close the door so you can't leave, and we'll start the dance party. We're working with Pandemic is the DJ for the night. And this is part of a series of cultural events that the Global Switchboard's been part of, dating back to 2016, when we teamed up with the Change Agency and some other partners, Kelly Strayhorn Theater, Shift Collaborative, for a cultural series called We Move. And so it's with Pandemic We Move. That's the name of our after party, which is the concluding portion of the event.
So this starts at 5?
Starts at 6 o'clock.
At 6.
October 13th, and you asked about ticketing. You can go online, and you should right now, and buy your ticket. If you didn't,
Where do you go online?
You can go to our website, which
you can
is...
go many different places.
Yeah, so you can go to our website, which is theglobalswitchboard.org, and there's a button at the top. You can't miss it. It'll direct you to our Eventbrite page. We are all over social media, so you can also follow us on Twitter, but if you get on our Facebook page, there's lots of information about this event too. Once you've found your way to the Eventbrite page, there's a button that says tickets. Click it.
I guess people can take it from there, yeah.
You take it from there. But I will say that the event is not only about calling attention to this project, but it's to help us fund it as well. So this is a fundraiser, and tickets are $40 standard. But like I mentioned, we've created a couple of different tiered recommendations for different costs. If you're feeling, if you have the means and are feeling generous, you can give more. There's a student rate, suggested student rate, but then there's also a blank field. Pay what you can.
And just to reiterate, this is an event that's open to everybody,
Yes.
individuals or organizations that are or are not involved with the world. This is
100%. And here's an area where we are excited to grow, and we think the event will help us with this. We're pretty effectively connected to a lot of the grassroots organizations, social justice oriented organizations in the city, and that is important, and that's a heartbeat of what we do. But there's also a lot of opportunity to connect with some of the globally focused organizations that are driving entrepreneurship and innovation in the city. We think that when we think about challenges that our region is facing, including workforce challenges, population challenges, immigrant and refugee inclusion challenges, that our ability to advocate for the role that people from around the world will play in becoming an innovative and entrepreneurial city is it's a very important issue, and it's an issue that we're trying to better capture in the work of the Global Switchboard. So we ask people to come out whether they consider themselves a global professional or they're just a person who's got a keen sense of how important it is to be part of a global cosmopolitan city, to come to our event. They'll have fun.
And it's definitely going to be fun. I really I love the way you've set it up. I'm looking forward to it. People can stay for the party, and if people just want to get to know the organizations, that's another option.
Yep.
But what happens after the event? What are your hopes for? So people come in, they sign up, they become part of the hub or the switchboard. What happens then? If people want to get engaged, what are other opportunities that you're working on for people to remain engaged?
5 years from now, if somebody asks about the Global Switchboard, I hope they're asking because they've just heard about how the network of individuals and organizations that are part of it have achieved a major policy victory in Harrisburg, or have helped lead a paradigm-shifting welcoming movement in the city. I think the co-working space as our first step and the digital hub as our second step act as the resources on which we will pull to get going on what we're going to be calling for now working groups, getting people together, convening them around key issues, supporting the process of taking an issue from a thing that concerns us to actually making a decisive decision about what action we'll take, so that there's real impact to measure. We're wading into the immigrant and refugee integration or inclusion conversation because so many separate ones take place currently in the city. And as a connecting organization, we're going to be asking the question, how can we support bringing these various strands of the cord together? How can we convene the regional efforts with the municipal efforts, with the university concerns? And so we will be in the fall coming right out from the other side of launching the digital hub, get this new dimension of ourselves in order, the working groups.
What do you have a date for the launch of the hub?
So by the end of 2017, this will be live. It gives us a few months between the event on October 13th and the end of the year to populate it, because once it goes live, if there's no content on it, it'll quickly sink.
Right.
So we've got a strategy for calling people out to submit their information. That strategy actually begins now with a call. You'll be receiving an email from us this coming week that asks you to send us information in advance, so that there's some information during our light launch in October at the event itself. So there's some content, but then a lot more content that we're hoping to cultivate over the next few months.
You may have touched on this, but will you be also including arts in the hub? Like just performances, things that are happening in town that need to be, shared. It's hard, as a newcomer, I can say this, it's hard sometimes to figure out what's happening in terms of arts. Mm-hmm. It would be great to have the hub also include something like that. Are you thinking?
We're not only thinking about this, I'm going to use this little moment on the radio to ask formally for more participation at this event. So when we put out the call for partners, we got a couple of different ideas from organizations that are arts-based. Our Rhythm is one of them. And so, yes, there will be some stuff already that's like baked into this event that is celebrating the role that the arts play in sort of this broader global engagement conversation. But we, during the last part of the event when we were dancing, we want to, we're very open to having some additional performances take place. So if you're listening to this and your music or your art is helping to make the case for how Pittsburgh is a global place already, we'd love to hear from you, and maybe we can plug you in.
Wonderful. That's great. Great to hear. So again, where can people go to learn more and buy the tickets?
You go to the globalswitchboard.org. There's a banner at the top of the page. It's called Hub+Spoke. You can go there and you'll find all the information that you need to.
Great. So let me take you beyond the event and ask you, how do you think Pittsburgh is doing in terms of becoming more globally engaged? Do you see in the last 2 years, 3 years, do you see there's been progress? How would you rate the city compared to other cities this size?
It's, I can't tell sometimes if the transformation is a personal thing happening in me or if it's a combination of that with stuff that's actually happening outside of myself. I know that I've been influenced by the people who I get to work with, that I am being shaped by the changes that I see in this city, that that newcomers are part of my social life and fabric now in ways that they were not before. And if my life is any indication of what's happening for others, then I think we are a changing place. I am inundated with more sort of opportunity to see the world through my living here in Pittsburgh, like I have not. I've been here 14 years or 15 years, off and on. So yeah, I think it is a changing place, and I use my own life as an indicator for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been here for like 5 years. I came for schooling. So my view was very much like an academic lens for a while. I didn't really get to like burst that bubble up until last year. So I have very limited knowledge of what Pittsburgh was before, but from what I love what it is now. I see a lot of potential for what it could be, though, and I think there's a lot of things we could do still to make it even better. I also sometimes worry about the bubble that we work in. I am very interested in seeing how Pittsburgh can challenge things outside of that bubble, right? That's where you really make an impact. A good friend of mine once told me, like, growth begins where your comfort zone ends. And I think for Pittsburgh, that's like growth begins when you burst that bubble and you really expand. So we'll see. I'm excited. I really love the city. And that's why I chose to stick around.
Wonderful. And again, to everybody, the big event, the Hub+Spoke, is October 13th, 6 p.m. at the Ace Hotel. Tickets are available at the Global Switchboard .org. Don't miss it. It's going to be something great, and it's going to be the beginning of something great, hopefully. Nathan, Ala, thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking to Nathan Darity and Ala Mohammed from the Global Switchboard. And again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for
Such a
having
treat.
us.
Thanks.
And to all our listeners, thank you for being with us. We'll be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to the World Affairs Report, brought to you by the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh in cooperation with KQV News Radio. The World Affairs Council is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that has been bringing the world to Pittsburgh for over 80 years. To learn more about the council and upcoming events, please visit worldpittsburgh.org. Be with us again next week when we take a 30-minute look at issues of global importance.